Kiara, would you give us a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember District A,
Present.
Councilmember District B,
Present.
Councilmember District D,
Present.
and Mayor.
Present, thank you. Did we ask for Mr. Carlson's?
So Councilmember District C is not with us tonight.
Thank you. We'll now have Mayor Pro Tem Joe Compion lead us in our invocation and Councilmember James Ross to lead us in our pledge. Let's stand.
Maybe bow our heads. Holy One, you're known by many names and beyond all names. We ask your blessings upon all of us that have gathered here this evening, that are part of our community, and those that also live, work, and play here that are not with us this evening. We ask all of us to have the wisdom and the courage to know and to do what is right and good and true. We ask all of us to speak out when the time is right to speak out, but most of all, to listen patiently and respectively and receptively when it's time to listen. Most of all, and above all, Lord, we ask that we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of justice, and above all, by the spirit of love. It is always in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keyword for all.
As we get settled, we are moving into a time of, thank you, a moment of silence, honoring the events on 9/11/2001. Let's have a moment of silence. Amen. We will now have an introduction of a new finance director, Mr. Garcia. You as city manager hire and fire our finance director, and so we will allow you to make this important introduction.
Certainly, I'd like to take a moment to introduce Ms. Christine Turner. She's here with us tonight. If you could stand to be recognized. Ms. Turner is a welcome to our team. Very lucky to have her. Excited to be here. I'd like to take a moment and honor Ms. Susie Koo for all her years of service. 37 years in government, much less going from city to city back and forth, but starting here and ending here. Kudos to her. Kudos to all those years of service, and we will do the best we can to honor her. Ms. Christine Turner comes from an extensive background. We will take her around. We started doing tours. It's been a crazy day, but we definitely look forward to showing her around, formally introducing everybody and showing her the city. If you could please help me with her warm welcome. And we're very excited to have her here and continue moving the business of the city forward. Thank you.
Very good. Did you want her to say anything? Or
Sure. Do you want to come forward? Sure.
Good evening, residents of Lamarque and council. It is a privilege of being offered the position of finance director here at the city of Lamarque. And I just kind of want to give y'all an overview about myself so you can kind of get to know me. I am a graduate of University of Houston downtown with a degree in accounting. I have an MBA from LeTourneau University. I have over 35 years of accounting and finance experience, including being a consultant. I've been in oil and gas, and then government experience by way of the city of Pearland and the city of Alvin. I consider myself to be I have an MBA.
go ahead. Sorry.
I consider myself to be a servant leader, and service is near and dear to my heart. And with this being so, I hold the position 4 of the Pearland Development Authority of Pearland. I am also the treasurer for the Gulf Coast GFOA, that's the Government Finance Officers Association. And I'm also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, where I serve in the Psi Mu Omega chapter in Pearland. I've held leadership roles there as well as treasurer and audit committee chair. So my plan is to serve the residents of Lamarck and the council here with very high ethical standards. My door is open for any questions. So I just thank you for being here.
Thank you, ma'am, and welcome, 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 welcome. Yes. Item 5, citizens participation. Limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public will be heard at this time. Any person with city-related business who has signed up to speak may speak to council, limited to 3 minutes. If you're wishing to speak, give the mayor or the presiding officer your full legal name, your address, and the item you wish to speak about. In accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, the city may not deliberate on comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed, and personnel matters should be addressed to the city manager during normal business hours. If you're visiting with us via phone, you may press *6 to mute or unmute yourself. If you are participating on the Zoom platform via smartphone, tablet, or computer, there is a microphone icon in the lower portion of the screen that you may mute or unmute yourself. If you are attending in person, there is a podium to my left and to your right. You may move to the podium when your name is called, and you will be allowed to speak. First person is Mr. Robert Mishtich. Welcome, Robert.
Robert Mitchstich, 24 North Curlew. First off, Mr. Garcia, Kira, thank you for getting the schedule of that next meeting done. It would be very, very appreciative if Mr. Garcia, if you and Mr. Nabel could be there too. Thank you. The other thing I wanted to speak of is the election that's coming up, and this would be for District C. We do have to, for those in District C, Mr. Carlson does have to be voted out. The council has never officially recognized his, before in public, has recognized his resignation that was submitted on August 4th. So it is highly possible that if enough people chose just not to vote on that issue and enough people chose to keep him, it could then invalidate the actual replacement election, and that seat could remain open until next May. There are different ways of interpretation on that, so it's very important for everybody to vote on both items. The other one is about our charter. Our charter takes precedence over the state, and this is for you, Mr. Nabel. We do not have the luxury of going back and forth to whichever fits our needs. Only if there is something in the charter that is not addressed or specific enough, then does it revert to the state law. So our charter is specific about residency requirements, and that is what governs us. And so that would cover what our mayor needs to do in doing the right thing and stepping down. One last thing, water leaks. My neighborhood is under a mega bay, mud 12. We've had 4, actually 5 bust water line breaks since last Thursday to Sunday. We repaired them. Once they were reported, they were out there within an hour and a half. Once the leaks were, the water was shut off, all of those leaks except for one were repaired in approximately 2 hours each. One went about 3.5 hours. And one of those 5 leaks was actually a retrip from the others. We are a 2-member office in Mud 12 is all it is, plus a field hand. And so everything is contracted, and we have them on standby. They're fast, they're good. And maybe that's something that we consider for repair in our city and reserve our employees for other needed business. It's another way of operating, and we do not have near the funds that the city does, and we're still able to accomplish this. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Robert. Cassandra Lafferty. Welcome, Ms. Lafferty. Name and address for the record, please.
Sandra Lafferty, 1302 Ross, Marque, Texas. My issue with the city right now is, so when we go on social media the last couple of days, all we've seen is talks about the water leaks. On August 22nd and August 23rd, The city was on low water pressure, and the city released a statement that they couldn't figure out where the leak was coming from. They were trying to figure it out. Well, on Monday morning, when my husband went to go walk the dogs, we realized that our entire lawn of our 3/4 of an acre was filled with water. We had a leak that had busted underneath the house, and we didn't know it for 2 whole days. Monday morning, we had to both take off work and lose about $300 to stay home to try to figure out where the leak was coming from, because we had no clue where it was even coming from. So we ended up having to dig about 2 or 3 feet down to find the leak. Anyways, we called a plumber out. The plumber said that it was going to be about $175 just to come out. We said, no, my sister owns the house. She's a veteran. I don't want to put her through that. So we had some stuff that we had still had from February in 2001 when it had froze, and then all the supplies started coming back. So we wanted to be prepared so that we wouldn't be in that situation again. So we repaired the leak that day. We called the city, let them know that we had found a major leak in our yard, and we were repairing it. We had it repaired by ourselves in about 2 or 3 hours. So then I came to the city to try to see what I could do about adjusting my bill. And the city tells me that because I did not have a licensed plumber come out, and because I do not have receipts, even though I have video and I have photos of the water coming out, of my husband fixing it and everything else. They also told me that I used 30,000 gallons within 2 days, when I'm normally only using about 5,000 gallons a month. So now she told me that I basically don't even need to return this, because my water is not going to get adjusted because I didn't hire a licensed plumber and I don't have receipts. So I'm coming to you to try to find out, as a citizen, all I want, I have bills from the last couple months of what I normally use. I have video, I have pictures from doing the repair. All I want is my water adjusted for the 1 month. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Lafferty. Caesar, would you please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Ms. Carol Johnson. Welcome, Ms. Carol. Name and address for the record.
Carol Johnson, 2808 Fannin Street. Council, city manager, mayor, and constituents of District C. You guys had a groundbreaking ceremony for West Lawn, and I'm a little confused why no work's going on. Because my experience with groundbreaking is you have a ceremony one day and all your equipment and everything's there the next day and things are happening. So I'm confused. I don't get it. And I myself, I work with contractors and lenders, and contractors start, and then invoices get submitted and payment gets done. The milestones for the project is actually completed. You've already wasted a lot of time. You're supposed to have started basically back in last October, and then January, and then March, and we're still sitting here waiting. And the grant that's being used expires December of next year. If we do not complete this by December of next year, any monies that has already been spent on this project has to be paid back, and the grant has to be returned back to the federal government. So if you need help from somebody that knows how to hit a go button, I'm totally willing to teach you how to do project management and how to get projects going. So anyway, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carroll. Ms. Eva Livy. Welcome, Ms. Eva. Name and address for the record, please.
Name Eva Livy, 2808 Fannin Street, Lamarck. So I'm gonna read this because, yeah, just because. Due to the drought within our city, we as a community have numerous water line breakages. This is not to the fault of our community, but that of the city council for years. And I'm not specifically stating this specific council. I'm saying this has been going on for years and years and years. We as constituents pay tax rate amounts to provide complete repair of infrastructure. However, the last 7 to 8 years that I have been a constituent, this has not occurred. And per my understand, for over 10 to 15 years prior to this point, that it has been ignored grossly. And our current mayor has been on the board for that entire time. So the promises for me are that we keep making the promises of getting this stuff done for all these years. And it's just Band-Aids, and the Band-Aids aren't working anymore. And we as a city are tired of the monetary amounts and the grants to be used correctly and accordingly in the way that they are supposed to be. I myself am burned out over the lack of concern and morals of our city government. It truly shows that we are a weak government. Nothing has changed. Nothing is moving forward. Infrastructure is still down and crime is up. I did read the little pamphlet that you all sent out that said our crime is down 51%. I don't know where you all live, but you don't live in my district. So I'm a resident of the Highland. Let this be an example to the constituents. Our mayor, city council, and city manager have not moved forward on the renovations for West Lawn as well. We should have started in last October. The sign has been up for over 3 months. Why is my mayor not moving forward? That is what we were promised when we elected you, to move forward together. It's one-sided. It's not together. So move forward, Lamarque. Make your choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eva. Mr. Richard Holcomb. Welcome, Mr. Holcomb. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Richard Holcomb, 2708 Magnolia Drive. And I would like to complain about the same things about the water leakage. Right there on the corner of Magnolia and Lake. The whole corner, all the way down to the next street, which I'm thinking, I don't know if it's Scott or what, but the ditches were full of water Friday evening. Okay, your city workers showed up Friday evening and they worked on overtime all night into the day Saturday. And when they left Saturday evening, I've got a video on my phone I can show you. Water was coming out of the ground, that big around, and at least 100 gallons a minute. What I'm trying to say is the water was leaking a lot worse when they left than after they draw 24 hours of overtime. And I don't understand that. I was just wondering, do y'all have any licensed plumbers in your crews that go out and fix these leaks?
Mr. Holcomb, we cannot respond to you.
Okay.
So we can listen to you and certainly refer you to our city manager.
Well, every time I drove by there Saturday during the day, there was a Marque Public Works truck parked there and 2 guys were sitting in it, sitting over there beside the hole. And 2 guys sitting in it with the windows rolled up, the air conditioning truck running, nobody on the equipment, nobody in the hole, and the water wasn't running out like that. Me and my wife went out to eat and we come back Saturday evening. I mean, I called the police department. Now, the water department has no emergency leak or nothing like that, no kind of number. You call the numbers and you don't get nobody. So y'all need to have emergency. I understand the water, but matter of fact, when I just come down Bow, 2 blocks down Bow on the right-hand side, it's bubbling out of the ground just like it was over there. And I understand that the drought causes pipes to shift and move and break. But when you go out to a leak to fix a leak, and it's 24 hours after overtime, it's leaking 10 times worse than it was when you showed up, something's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Joel Newman. Welcome, Joel. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joel Wadsworth Newman, and I've resided at 919 Kenneth Street for 30 years. And this is the 7th year anniversary of an illegal an disturbing toxic waste dump and illegal automotive repair garage in front of my house. And he's being protected by Kathleen Van Stavern, and I have the proof. And I want a state police detective. I have recently been gaining traction. I'm working with some high-level people in Austin, and we're going to do a redo on the inspection. I have some pictures. May I pass them around?
Yes, sir.
You just gotta look at them real quick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is my YouTube channel. It is for adults only. It's very disturbing. Plastic, huh? Okay, I'm gonna go through some talking points and then I'm gonna give you these pictures. This one was, first one was 3 hours ago. Okay, there had been 7 senior citizens threatened by Mr. Johnson. One is a lady on a cane. The latest is Miss Linda Grubbs from Moran Street. And he followed her all the way to the Marque police station and got out in the parking lot and started cussing her and abusing her. She was so rattled, she just went back. She had her 43-year-old retarded son in the car. Okay, I want to know where my rep is and why they haven't interviewed the 5 seniors that have been threatened and harassed by this monster. This has taken 7 years of my retirement that I worked 45 years for. Okay, I don't feel safe in my home. I'm getting murder and arson threats from Johnson and his family and his multitude of criminal associates. My YouTube channel has 112,000 views and I have 354 subscribers. One of the main comments that comes up is, where's the city? Okay, you can see on the YouTube channel where a rock is thrown in Maria Garza's car. It cuts her arm, and the police came out and they saw the video, but the people who threw the rock were behind a hood and I couldn't see it. And then moments later, she gets out of the car and was in 2 seconds of being attacked by a woman, and Johnson swept her up off of her feet. Okay, there was a meeting the other day that Garza told me about that Mr. Bell was in there, and it was the big time attorney, real estate guy, Etheridge, and his Barbie Tucker. They were trying to sell the house, and Johnson was coming out there yelling and fussing at them. Okay, and then Van Stavern told the chief here that she barely knew Johnson, and I got proof of that. Van Stavern was in that house for 23 minutes after Perry Larvin left with the Galveston County Nuisance and Automotive Crime Division. Okay, my house is riddled with pellets from a high-powered pellet gun. There's metal and rocks have been thrown at me. You see the video of Avante Johnson throwing those rocks behind the legal fence.
Mr.
Time's up.
Joe, you can finish your statement and then time's up. Yes, sir.
Sir?
You may finish your statement and then time's up.
Okay. The picture you see there, the fence is 6 feet outside the property line. I was a land surveyor for 6 years and a civil engineering technician for 13 in heavy marine construction. And I know what I'm looking at, and it can be proved. I will buy the city of Schoenstatt. That is a metal detector used by surveyors. It'll be used, but I will donate it to the city. It's very easy to find the property pins. Okay, the fence is shoddy. It's an eyesore. It looks like a junkyard.
Joe, Mr. Laser, I meant finish that statement. I can't have you just keep finishing. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. This is Melanie Allred. Welcome, Melanie. Name and address for the record, please.
Melanie Lave Allred, 1605 Hawthorne. I just wanted to introduce myself, put a face with my name. I'll be running for City Council for District C for the vacant seat. So if y'all have any questions, y'all can reach out to me. I'll be happy to speak to anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. Joseph Lowry. Welcome, Joseph. Name and address for the record, please.
Joseph Lowry, 2503 Cedar Drive. Had a great weekend. Went on a men's retreat, actually. It was first one, 43 years old. And one of the things I learned there that really stuck with me is forgiveness. So I'd like to start out with, I forgive you, Miss Yancey, and I forgive you, Bell, for the actions that have partaken in the city in the last couple of years. But I still want to hold you accountable. We have a charter. The charter is very clear about residency in the city of Lamarque. The only time we refer to state law, as Mr. Gus has said before, is if we don't have a charter amendment. It's very clear that you must hold residency inside the city of Lamarck. For those of you that don't have one of these, maybe your neighbor might hold this. Here's a copy of the restraining order. As you can see, it was awarded to the petitioner, the home, the address where Belle was staying. And here's a copy of Belle's current lease. It's a 12-month lease. It's not temporary. Temporary, if you want to use a temporary term, like say for like an insurance company would use, temporary is like 3 to 5 days. But when you can prove day after day after day, month after month, day and night, lights went off at this time, lights come on at this time, you're living there. This is the ID that Belle used in securing that 12-month lease. And this is the money orders check. He didn't use his regular checking account, he got money orders. Mayor Bell, I'm going to ask you again to hold yourself to the same standards that you held Mr. Hawking to. And I think you should step down. I think there's enough people here to speak that. And I'd hate to get in a long drawn out court battle with you over it, but I'm willing to do so. That's it.
Thank you, Joseph. Yatisha Gordon. Welcome, Yatisha. Name and address for the record.
226 Russell Lamarck, Texas. I am coming here to talk to you about the water leak as well. My water is running really slow. And I just wanted to find out, what we're doing about that. I've spoken to the city mayor about an incident that I have going on, but it's no longer going on anymore. Thank God for Jesus. I just want to know, do our police officers know that they work for us? Like citizens that pay their taxes? I pay my taxes, I own my home.
Yes, ma'am.
And do they know they work for us? Do they know that? Do they know that they don't police different areas like they police other areas? Do they know that? I mean, do they have sensitivity training? Do they have training? I mean, I want to know. I mean, it's just, I'm a citizen and I've been in Lamarck for 26 years. I've been owning my home for 26 years. And I've never been humiliated the way I was humiliated by one of your police officers. I'm an educator. I am a certified public accountant that I resigned to be an educator because that's what I wanted to do. So I need to find out what is the protocol for our police officers because they're stupid.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Gardner, I'm sorry. Ms. Gardner, I stand corrected. Tanya Bell. Welcome, Tanya. Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Sonia Bell. Good afternoon, everyone. For all the council members, ex-council members, Ms. Titch and Osteen, everybody assembled. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry, I'm here as a concerned citizen, not Mayor Bell's wife, as a concerned citizen. I currently live at 1915 Oak Lawn. I'm here to confirm that Keith Bell, as a resident of 1915, ever since we've been married 20-some years, and he will continue to be a resident of 1915 Oak Lawn, Lamarck, Texas. I'm here to also say that our family has been harassed by the mayor's accusers and associates for 2 years and hope to have him removed from office. He has harassed us by making slanderous and libelous statements concerning a PPP loan against my businesses after the pandemic. He published it online, trying to embarrass us. I had to use my personal money and send a cease and desist letter for my businesses. I'm a citizen. I pay taxes like everybody else. My spouse do the same thing. He published, again, y'all just saw what he, y'all just saw for yourself about these statements about our marital records. That's my public business. I mean, that's my private business. I'm sorry. Everything that we're going through is private. Everything. But that's not it, because y'all, they came for my family. They came for my daughter. Now the accusers, besides y'all know that somebody's accusing my husband for living where he lives. But the reason is we're scared. I had somebody on Thursday, September the 7th, my daughter Sanaya received a message via Snapchat from somebody's daughter. I got proof from a Haley. I want this to be evident. And before my time is up, I want to stop right now because I need my daughter to come up, whoever, Miss Kim to come up, Erica to come up. We need to read this and everybody need to be held accountable because if anything happens to my spouse or anybody in my family, I'm going to the state with this. I'm going past Galveston County because we've been harassed too long.
Kyle, how much time does she have?
Please, I mean, come on, Kiana, so you can finish reading
Yeah,
this, but
Miss
everybody
Tanya,
need to be held.
Ms. Tanya, you will have 32 seconds remaining if you want to move forward with other persons to help you
Kiana,
read.
come on. Miss Kiana.
Kiana Bourgeois Bell. Name and address for the record, please.
And if you can pass these around to everybody on council, anybody welcome to look at the messages my 19-year-old daughter received.
My name is Kiana Bourgeois Bell. I reside at 1915 Oakland Drive in Lamarck. So basically, I'm gonna pick up where my mom left off. So on Thursday, September 7th, my sisters and I received a message via Snapchat from their daughter. We do have screenshots of that's being passed around.
Read that, please.
So basically, the message from this Haley child, basically the message from Haley said, "Hey there, I know you don't know me personally, but I go to your old school and I just wanted to reach out to you because I know that your mom and dad are going through a divorce. My mom and dad are divorced and it was hard for me. If you need anything, let me know. Even if you just need to talk or if you want to hang out, I live right around the corner from your mom and dad. I don't know if they're living together or what, but you're more than welcome to come over." Sanaa responded.
Okay.
We're not going to, we will not allow, police officer, please, can you please come forward? We will not allow this. We're not gonna allow this. We're not gonna allow this.
So Sanaa said, "What school did I used to go to?" The child said Abundant Life Christian School. Sanaa said, "How did you know about my parents?" The girl said, "Everyone at school knows about your parents. LOL, isn't your dad the mayor?" Haley responded, "Are your parents still living close to each other? Because I know that when my parents got divorced, my mom moved to Kingman, my dad moved to Deer Park, so it's been a long journey for visitation." After that, she said,
I'm sorry, just one split second. Mayor, I'd like to recognize, I know we have some other folks that are signed up to speak.
Yeah,
Are any of these folks that are speaking now signed up to speak? I don't have a list.
she is signed up.
So-
Kiana is signed up, and then there's another speaker after Kiana.
So Mayor,
Erica's not signed up. Kim is after.
"Am I?"
We- so the timer for the first speaker is ended, and if you like, we can start the one for the second speaker.
So I can keep going?
Continuation.
Continue on. Yeah.
Okay, she said, "Isn't your dad the mayor?" This is from Haley. Sanaa responded, "Well, yeah." Haley said, "Are your parents still living close to each other? Blah, blah, visitation and stuff." Sanaa said, "Yes, my dad still lives here with my mom and I." Haley said, "Oh, that's cool. So they're not divorced anymore. My dad and mom would kill each other." Missing some stuff. Yeah, you missing some stuff. Okay, so she didn't respond after that incident.
So we need to ask these questions.
So we have several questions concerning this incident with Sanaa. One, why was the child on Snap at 10:38 on Thursday on a school night? Two,
School day, a school day.
School morning. Why was she asking a stranger about her parents? And keep in mind, Sanaa has never met this child ever. What typical 16-year-old should be concerned about a mayor's living arrangement in contacting a stranger? Why would a person whose parent has a huge issue with us invite our daughter? Oh, we didn't print that out, but she did invite Sanaa, who she's never met, to their house. For what reason, we don't know. So why would she do that? Is this really a 16-year-old child? Our daughter, well, Sanaa, was being told that the entire school was talking about her parents. She went to the principal to complain. Basically, she felt embarrassed and scared. My sister right here. So we are reporting this to law enforcement, asking for an investigation into who made these communications and why is Sanaa being targeted.
Right here, but read that.
Later that day, my mom went to a restaurant in Texas City with a couple of people. About 20 minutes into her meal, she was approached by the girlfriend of the person making these accusations. And that person was asking, was she mad? Was my mom mad at her? My mom felt vulnerable and afraid, and she feared for her life. And she immediately,
We will not,
she.
we will not, we will not. Everyone in this room respected every speaker. We will respect every speaker in this room.
She felt in fear for her life because one, how did person who again has a huge vendetta out on our family know that my mom was there at this same exact restaurant that's not even in the city of Lamarque, that was in a whole nother city? How did she know? So she immediately left the restaurant. My mom will be filing a complaint with of harassment with the Texas City Police and whoever else she needs to file a complaint with.
Your time has expired. Kim Phillips.
No, she can't.
Kim Phillips is the last speaker that I have recorded. Do you have any others, Kiara? Welcome, Ms. Kim, name and address for the record. You have any other speakers?
I'm Kim Phillips, 2002 Oak Lawn. I've lived here 6 years. So I'm a real newbie, according to most of y'all. I've loved living here. I really, really have. I come from Austin. I work in Houston, and I really like Lamarque. What I am sort of mystified and embarrassed about is this constant social media bickering about where people live, calling people's children's a thug ass pothead, I believe the words were. I could be mistaken. Yeah. Okay. These people seem to have some weird vendetta against just certain members of council, and I can't quite figure that out. I'm sort of embarrassed. Other than that, Lamarque seems okay. I had a water leak. I fixed it today. Okay. Took 30 minutes. That's why I'm sunburnt. I don't understand why this is and why as taxpayers, we're wasting money on recall elections. You don't like the person, when the time comes, unelect them. That's how this works. You don't get to pansy ass around. Oh, I apologize. I do apologize. You don't get to tiptoe around, make threats, make accusations, find specious rules that you want to avoid so that you can get your way. That's very juvenile. Okay. I'm also I'm not gonna, I'm sticking up for me as a citizen. So what I am is a constant porch lurker. I have the house with the dinosaur. I live on the porch. And what I see is Mayor Bell out there just about every other day, not since it's been so hot, embarrassing me with his workout routine. Okay. I don't know where he lives on a couple of days a year. I do not care. But what I do see is the cars coming in and out all the time. So if we want to continue on as taxpayers and doing these recalls and, exotic little accusations and defenses, we can do that. That's cool. That's our money. We can spend it for anything else. But if we want to do that, then let's get all in. Let's all of us get all in. But what I'm not going to do is take advice and direction from people who call other people's children thug ass potheads. All right? Are we going to act like adults or are we going to act like juveniles? That's what we need to decide. I'm tired of looking at it. We could move ahead, but instead we're going to play these games. All right? That's all I have to say. Look, under 3 minutes. Went in a word.
Thank you, Kim. We do have one for Erica Bourgeois. Welcome, Erica. State your name and your name and address for the record.
Erica Bourgeois, 1915 Oaklawn. Okay, I'm just going to continue kind of where we left off. It says, lastly, we're in fear of our lives. If anything happened to our mayor or our family, there would be a huge liability on the city of Lamarque and county of Galveston. I'm going to be in touch with Congressman Randy Weber, requesting immediate protection and assistance and launching an inquiry into a possible conspiracy to harm my family and the mayor.
And again, my 30 seconds is to plead with the citizens of Lamarque. I pay taxes just like everybody else. If anything happens to my spouse, if anything. If anything happens to my spouse or.
She has 30.
I will.
She has 30 seconds of time remaining. We will not disrupt this meeting.
So I ask the protection of the state of Texas to do what they need to do to protect my family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we need to certainly make sure that we are conducting ourselves accordingly. I'm certainly asking you, Caesar, to ensure that this is a peaceful meeting and that we all respect each other's opportunity and right to express our views and opinions. Speaking of that, this is a meeting. That has always traditionally been conducted by Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules of Order. In Robert's Rules of Order, there is a provision for a point of personal privilege. In Robert's Rules of Order, there is a provision for a point of personal privilege. And certainly as the chair, I am taking a point of personal privilege since many of you have come because there have been accusations that have been levied against me. And so I certainly must respond with the facts. The facts are, like I said last meeting, and I'll repeat it again this meeting. I am a resident of 1915 Oak Lawn, Lamarque, Texas, legally and physically. Any other presumption is flat out wrong. I enjoy my property on a daily and regular basis. Again, you cannot tell a person when, where, and how to enjoy their property. It's their property. Now, secondly, my wife has just confirmed that I am a resident of 1915 Oak Lawn. If anybody would know, she would know. My neighbor has just confirmed that I am a resident of 1915 Oak Lawn. My daughter on a text message just confirmed that so we get the point. We get the point. Okay, so point of person, I will not allow for disruption in our meeting. I'll pause. I won't say anything until we stop because I want to make sure that I'm heard like everyone else. I want to take this opportunity first and foremost to explain something to you before we begin this meat of what I need to say to you about what's happening to myself and my family. Municipal law, Texas law says this. If you are a resident of a city, I'll wait. Thank you. Texas law says this. You are a resident of a city if you in fact own property in that city, or you have a lease in that city. You are a resident. Well, thank you. We'll wait. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, keep in mind, I just said to you, and I have this right to say this to you. This is what those types of things happen when rhetoric has gone way beyond the pale. Let's take a 5-minute recess. We are back in regular session. And we are in the moment of personal privilege by Robert's Rules of Order, a moment that I've taken to respond to this absurd allegation. I have a right to do that, and certainly I'll continue. Again, as we move forward, I will say that I am a legal and physical resident of 1915 Oak Lawn. I enjoy my property daily. That has been proven by my neighbor, that's been proven by my wife, and certainly that's been proven by my youngest daughter. But I want to take this moment in time to teach us on residency law and municipal law and what it actually requires, so that we won't go out into a community angry because a mayor refused to resign because we believe he doesn't live in the city. Texas law, certainly someone said that our charter supersedes Texas law, and that's not true ever. Does our charter supersede Texas law? Our charter says that you have to be a resident. I've proven that. But let's say there is a person that has multiple properties in multiple locations. The charter, nor state law, says that there's anything wrong or illegal about that. State law says, and the charter has to reflect, a person lives where they believe they live. I'm not suggesting anything about my situation. I won't respond concerning my situation, because it's a personal matter between my wife and myself and our family, and the fear that our family is in. I'll leave that part alone. But let's be clear, even if Mr. Lowry, and I can say his name because he has positioned himself as a leader in our community, as a potential candidate for mayor. And so he is now available for us to certainly question. Doesn't matter what this person says, the law says. And so when you go around saying that someone has broken the law, when in fact they have not broken the law, and then they don't resign because they haven't done anything wrong, you incite people. You incite people. And you get people angry. You're getting them angry over something that they did, that the person did nothing wrong. Again, I've done nothing wrong, but the allegations that this person has brought against me has incited all sorts of potential violence against me and my family. I want to proceed, certainly. This person just suggested that there was a restraining order that was levied against me and that I am not allowed to access my property. That is simply not true at all. What happened in my life, again, it's what happens in everyone's life. People go through changes, and sometimes they believe that they don't want to be together anymore. And that's called a divorce. And in that, before the judge decides property, before the judge decides money or support or any of those things, the judge says to us, don't move any money, don't sell any property, don't do anything until I decide where this property goes and how this property is divided. And they do that, judges do that through restraining orders. They restrain you from selling property, from moving money. But this man is here trying to suggest to us that there is a restraining order that precludes me from accessing my property. Again, this is totally false. I am at my property daily on a regular basis. I enjoy my property, just as she said, and many others have said here tonight. Even if everything this person said was right, let's be clear, I have not broken any law. So there is no reason to incite all of these folks in our community as though I have. This person says that they have a lease, but they don't share a lease. If they had a lease, again, I wouldn't have broken any law, but they don't share a lease. This person has followed me, and they say that following me is evidence of me not living in a certain community. Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you this. Following somebody and watching where they go is not evidence on residency, not nowhere in no court of law. taking something that you could have possibly manufactured because you haven't shown anybody and reporting it as a lease, or even if it was a lease, it does not prove residency. Let's be clear, this is law. Gus, if I'm saying something that's not law, let me know. The only thing that this proves, the only thing that a video or several videos following me proves is that I have been harassed. That's what that proves. And so let me share this with you. I feel like my life now is in danger, along with my family's life, because a person is following me. There are 4 reasons now that I believe that my life is in danger. The first reason is, and I'm turning all of this into Jack Rody, to the FBI, and to the Texas Rangers. There was a Facebook post from this person, from Mr. Lowry, suggesting that I don't believe that Lamarque is a safe city because I refuse to jog here. That suggests that this person knows my jogging patterns. Second, there's an email in August where a person states he wants to know where I am sleeping at or living at because I am not sleeping at my residence on Oak Lawn. This person believes to know when and where I sleep. This person is on a video that he shared on social media, taking responsibility for me being followed. He describes how I was being followed. He says he's paid someone to follow me, and he says that he's paid a private investigator to follow me. And there is now a video. I believe the video has one part of it is during the day, and another part of it is during the night, which means on 2 occasions I was followed. This is not normal. What my daughter was, my wife was trying to tell you about our daughter is their 16-year-old daughter, who does not know my daughter, never met her, contacted her out the blue to begin a conversation about my wife and I's marriage, trying to ascertain my living arrangements. This is not normal. If that was a 16-year-old child. And so I wanted to say this. There's a lot of credence some folks put into Wayne Delchifino videos. Wayne Delchifino is the owner, I believe, the principal of a company called Delchifino Consulting. He's not a journalist that is hired or paid by any reputable news organization. I'm sure he has a great business. I'm not knocking Mr. Delchifino. But Mr. Delchifino gets paid to produce videos. Whoever pays him, he produces videos from their perspective. He has produced videos on current Mayor Dedrick Johnson, Texas City Mayor Dedrick Johnson, the current mayor of Dickinson, Mayor Skipworth. He's produced videos on Associate Judge Stephen Baker. And he's produced several videos on Councilwoman Yancey and several on myself, because people pay him to do so, not because anything that he says is true or rooted in fact. Someone said something about me and Bobby Hocking, and I had it in for Bobby Hocking or something to that effect. Let me clear the record. The end of December of 2020, I received a correspondence from then Councilman Joe Compion. He had received information that our current mayor had sold his house, and he was a new council member. And he simply said, Mayor Pro Tem, I don't know what to do with this. What do we do? I in turn reported it to former city manager Tink Jackson. That's the extent of my involvement. I believe later that day, Mr. Hocking resigned. And so I'm being accused of somehow wanting to force a person out. All I did was follow the charter and follow the law. So let's get that clear. But let me say what I really need to say so that we can move on to this meeting. And this is this. It's this, excuse me. About 1.5 years ago, I met with Jack Rody. And I met with Texas Ranger Wilkins on separate occasions. I complained to them. I gave them all the information. I begged them to react or to respond because I was being harassed. In both of those meetings, a year and a half ago, both of those gentlemen said these words to me. If he starts to follow you, call us back. Well, Mr. Rhodey, Mr. Wilkins, this man is now following me. And so I'm forwarding all of these documents. I would have forwarded anything that Mr. Lowry would have produced here tonight that would suggest that there's any thing that he would like for me or this council to look at. I would have forwarded that as well, because you ought to ask yourself, either two things happen. If you believe what he is saying to you, then how would he have gotten a private lease? If you don't believe what he's saying to you, then he's just manufactured evidence. Either way, I would have forwarded that to the DA. I'm forwarding all the videos to the DA. I'm contacting the FBI and I'm contacting Randy Weber because this is dangerous rhetoric. I have family and friends telling me that they've looked online, and with all of this rhetoric, people from all parts of this state and beyond are saying all sorts of threatening things about me. It's never about Joseph Lowry or a person that lives in the community. It's about the people that they incite outside of the community that are willing to drive in the community and do us harm. My life and the life of many on this council have been threatened, not directly, but indirectly with rhetoric. If you call somebody corrupt every day and you go out and say that they just broke the law on a residency law that they did not break, even if you believe what they say, even if you believe what he says, I still didn't break the law. But when you go out into the public and you say he broke the law and people then see me still here, it incites them. I am forwarding all of these documents. I am asking for harassment charges to be filed against Joseph Lowry. I've been told by family and friends that there are people that this person has a criminal history of harassment and stalking, which says that he has been accused of and convicted of doing it before. How much more will my family have to suffer? At what point will we understand enough is enough? I am in fear of my life. My family will move also to file a protective order against Mr. Lowry and his associates. This hateful rhetoric inspires someone, and that inspiration could possibly hurt my family. And I would ask for any statesman or any person in this community, especially those of us that are former elected officials, to help stop this rhetoric. Many people have served on this council with me, and they know that I'm not corrupt, and they know that I'm not criminal. But they choose to feed, some choose to feed into this, to feed personal vendettas. But at this point in this juncture, my life and my family's life are in danger. I'm calling on the DA and the Rangers to help keep us safe. Thank you, Council, for allowing me to respond to the allegations that were brought against me tonight. Item 6, minutes. Regular council minutes. Regular city council minutes, 8/28/2023. 6/2, regular city council minutes, 8/14/2023. Council, do you have any corrections, any omissions, or any additions to these minutes? Hearing none, I'll move for approval.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 7, public hearings. Conduct a public hearing to hear public input on 7.1, ordinance number letter O-2023-0008, making appropriations for the support of the city of Lamarque for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, appropriating money to a sinking fund to pay interest and principal due on the city's indebtedness, and adopting the annual budget for the city of Lamarque 2023 fiscal year. We will close the regular meeting at
7:19.
We will open the public hearing at 7:19.
Yes, sir.
Is there any person wishing to speak to item 7.1? Any person wishing to speak to item 7.1? Item 7.2, ordinance number letter O 2023 0009, levying ad valorem taxes for the use of and operation of the municipal government of the city of Lamarque, Texas for the 2023 tax year, providing for apportioning each levy for specific purposes and providing when taxes shall become due and when same shall become delinquent if not paid. Is there any persons in the audience or online wishing to speak to item 7.2? Item 7.3, ordinance number letter O 2023 0010, proposed revision of city ordinance section 44-29 city park hours to stipulate that all city parks should have uniform operating hours. Or is there any person wishing to speak to item 7.3? Yes, sir, Mr. Osteen, name and address for the record.
James Osteen, 2012 Giordano. I was asleep at the wheel, I guess. On 009, would you state what the tax rate's gonna be?
I'm sorry, James, say again.
On the ordinance, 0009, would you state what the tax rate's gonna be?
All right, at 7.2? Yes, sir, I could do that. Kiara, would you give us a? Do you have it, James? Did somebody see it? Repeat it, James.
0.418058 on each $100 to be taxed. The maintenance and operating of the general government will be the 0.310615 on each $100, and the interest in seeking fund will be the 0.10744 for a total of the 0.418058.
Very good.
That is actually a reduction from last year, which was 4.5 or 0.4.
Thank you, James. Mr. Osteen, did that suffice? Very good. Other persons wishing to speak to item 7.3? Yes, sir, you may approach. Welcome, name and address for the record.
John Kent, 157 Lower Barondo. I just wanted to address the city parks. I know you're trying to get where it is kind of uniform. Would the city council be open to visiting later to change this, via, any harassment in parks or anything like that, or extending hours to try to give more opportunity for our residents and visitors to be able to get to these parks?
Yes, sir. Council, we've heard a suggestion, and certainly we can entertain that suggestion if we don't have any questions about the suggestion during the part of this meeting where we actually take action on ordinance 001010. Any other persons wishing to speak on item 7.3? Let's close this public hearing at
7:22.
and open the regular meeting at 7:22. Item 8, ordinances, discussion, possible action regarding approving 8.1 ordinance number letter O 2023 0008, making appropriations for the support of the city of Lamarque for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, appropriating money to a sinking fund to pay interest and principal due on the city's indebtedness, and adopting the annual budget for the city of Lamarque 2023-2024 fiscal year. This is the second and final reading. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
The second
Second.
discussion?
So a quick comment, Mayor. As I indicated last time, and just to be clear, I'll be voting against this, not because I'm especially opposed to it, but it's in my world, those of you who work together. I said early on that it was important for the city of Lamarque to establish an long range plan in terms of its finances. And this budget and this reduction is so significant that it interferes with that long-term financial planning. More importantly, I'm also want to remind the council that past councils have made promises to our city that have not been acted upon. We have a park in District B that was promised to the residents of District B. That has not been acted upon. We have the repairs. There were some excellent suggestions with regard to the water line repairs, as opposed to just having one entity or one team out there. I looked at what other smaller cities are doing, and they in fact go out and contract. But I know this because of the finance discussion that we're limited in that regard. That's what I'm talking about, priorities. Each one of us as council members have also been informed by our residents that we have needs within the various districts to repave and repave certain roads within the districts. The budget doesn't address that particular item on this side. So that's the reason why I'll be voting against this. But ultimately, as with everything, once we pass something, I'm aboard to make these things happen.
Absolutely.
Oh, one other final thing. There was a commitment that we made to our new city manager back when he was hired, that we also, I want to see that we follow through. We said that when he was hired, by contract, that this was an area that was new to him in terms of the city management side. We asked him to take certain courses, receive certain certifications, and that after he completed that we would also adjust his particular salary. He has earned that adjustment, and that's the other item that I want to remind this council of, that we should act upon as a follow-up. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Joe. Any other comments or questions on item 8.1? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm so sorry, I have to do a.
It's roll call.
vote.
By all means, proceed. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Okay, Mayor, how do you vote?
Oh, me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. to-
Aye.
Council District A? Aye. Council District B?
Nay.
Council District C is not present, so he will be marked as absent. In Council District D?
Aye.
Okay, the vote's gonna pass with 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 absent vote.
Very good. Item 8.2, ordinance number letter O-2023-0009, levying ad valorem taxes for use and operation of the municipal government, City of Lamarque, Texas, for the 2023 tax year, providing for apportioning each levying for specific purposes, and providing when taxes shall become due, when same shall become delinquent if not paid. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Can we read this tax rate again?
I have it here.
So the
Fairly
total
low.
tax rate is going to be 0.418058.
Did we ascertain whether or not that was a 4.5 cent decrease? Is it a 4.5 cent?
Roughly
decrease, Cesar?
3.5%, Mayor. Roughly 3.5 to 4.5. Let me get you the exact number.
I mean, I said cent, not percent.
Cent.
Cent. Okay.
Cent.
Very good. So we've cut the tax rate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? I'm sorry, that's another one. You got me again.
Okay, I'll start with you again. Mayor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Council District A?
Aye.
Council District B?
Nay.
Council District C is absent, and Council District D
Oh, aye.
will show that the motion passes with 3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 absentee.
Very good. Item 8.3, ordinance number letter O-2023-0010, proposed revision of city ordinance, section 44-29, city park hours, to stipulate that all city parks should have uniform operating hours. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's discuss. Did you want to go? Joe? Okay, go ahead.
Once again, this is too stringent an ordinance. We're not such a large city that we can't have, as the gentleman spoke in the public comments, flexibility in terms of our operating hours at our parks, especially our smaller parks. Up the road, I always see here on the Bayou Road, people out at different hours. And I want them to enjoy their parks. I want people to enjoy their parks. And I think that the restriction on hours, absent some other special event that's going on, is more applicable to our larger parks. The Mac McGaffey Highland Bayou Park, which has a gate that you can close. And then I think the Mahan Park likewise has a control gate that you have. All the other parks, I don't see a need to have hours on, because it also then becomes selective enforcement. When do you when do you enforce this in our other parks? And that's where the inconsistency comes in with regard to this ordinance, and therefore I won't be supporting.
I just wanted a point of clarification. All the parks are currently with a uniform time. The only one that did not have a uniform time was Mahan Park.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I want to make, my preference is, I understood that last time, is that the uniformity is only applicable to 2 parks. If I were going to suggest an amendment, this is only applicable to 2 parks.
Certainly.
That we make that change like that.
I just wanted a point of clarification. I wanted to state that for the gentleman, Mr. Kent, who made that available, so understood. We also are understanding that anytime that there's any functions at the park, whether it be a special event, a league, or any programming, those are obviously allowable opportunities for there to be extended times when those occur. So I hope I get a chance to kind of address that as was requested. And the question, can this be revisited? As anything, it obviously can be revisited. The purpose of this was to bring Mahan Park in line with the other parks. For whatever reason, way back when, Mahan did not have the same structure that we currently have now. So that was one of those things. And police recommended this also for the fact of us keeping uniform safety across all of our parks. I am hopeful that at a time that we're able to develop all of our parks, that they are safe at all times of day, and we do have controls on the staff to properly monitor them, that we can maybe discuss that later. At this time, we wanted to stick with the recommendation made by our police department for safety purposes. Nonetheless, we are cognizant of the wishes and desires, and we will do as the council please.
Yeah,
Thank you.
one of the things, Joe, that I'm real concerned about is that for safety reasons, one of the best practices is to have a uniform time. And if we are, as you said, still trying to fill up our police department, still trying to, and there's always an issue of manpower, right? I know for District A, which we do not have a park yet, but the park that is close to us is the one across the street from, what is that? Nashby Petroleum, that one, with the new apartment. Well, that particular park did have issues with people hanging out at all hours of the night. And that was contributing to criminal activity right there at Bayou Road. And so I'm in favor of that. That's why I moved on it, because I think that's what we need to keep our community safe. And that is, Joe, one of the best practices for safe cities.
Oh, if I could speak. This timing or the restrictions on times at parks, for me, is another term for a curfew, which the state of Texas just
For juveniles.
just outlawed. All right, and that's where I'm coming from. And in smaller cities, we have had history of both city management, city councils, and police forces indiscriminately utilizing these time restrictions to single out certain members of our community. So like I said, but my preference is that we have an ordinance that provides these restrictions on time to our 2 major parks, and that we forego any time restrictions on our smaller parks. And then hear back from the police department. Do it the opposite way that the gentleman say. Hear back from our police department if there is a need to have some time restrictions at certain parks. But I also, on the flip side of that, think sometimes I'm out walking at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't have a park near me. But if I had one, I'd be utilizing that to be out there on that side. That would be inconsistent. I'd be breaking our ordinance here. So, and actually in the heat, people are walking late. The family down the street walks it down. Or fishing as well too, whatever activities are
Joe,
out there.
let me ask you this. Do you think that if we relaxed or chose to have later ending hours or closing hours, do you think that that would put the city in liability if in fact there are crimes committed, even crimes against other folks, if those areas are not well lit and well maintained?
I don't see,
Well surveilled?
I don't see the logic. It's no different than
If
someone trying to sue the city for.
Well, I mean, if you have a place, if you have an amenity, Joe, that is unsafe, and you are allowing that amenity, and we're talking about time. If it is not adequately lighted, right? If it is not adequately surveilled, my question is, would that or could that put the city in a position of having liability? That's the question. If it's not adequate. Yeah, right.
And my response is, we have to see if there is a dangerous situation that we become aware of, then yeah, you can make perhaps counsel, there might be an argument made that, yeah, but that's where I'm counting upon our police department. If the police department is saying we have a problem at what park? We don't have one on Saltgrass, so that's not there. But what park can I bring up?
JC Park, Bayou Park, West Lawn.
JC Park or something. Then it's up to them to say, and that at that point, then we should take some action. I know the gentleman, Mr. Holcomb.
I live right next door to JC Park. There is a sign there on the road that says this park closes after dark. And I can't tell you how many times my wife has called the police because they drive through the park, they drive right behind their house, and who knows what they do. And I'm talking about all hours of the day and all hours of the night.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting nothing, but at 3 o'clock in the evening, with the car jumping up and down in the park, something's going on.
Yeah. And honestly, I can understand that. People come to I live across from the high school baseball parking lot. People come in after 11 I'm aggressive. I'll go ahead and immediately, as your wife did, I'll call the police and say, look, the person doesn't need to be out there. And I think that's part of our responsibility as citizens. It's not just the police's job, is that we also should step forth and identify these issues. And then if it is a necessity, here's the other thing too. If we have a closing hour, the enforcement side is going to be challenging, in my opinion, to our police. That's the other thing. So we're going to have police going to be going exactly at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock to all of the, so. Yeah.
If I may.
I don't know.
Working class, they get out 5, 6 time they get home.
Yeah.
Why you have it open Monday through Friday? But it's only used by the family on Saturday and Sunday.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The ordinance that is before you is to unify Bayhand with those. If we would like to maybe bring back an item that we'd like to address different park hours, we can do that at that time. But I will tell you, I believe, and I don't want to speak for PD, their situation, similar to the one that Mr. Holcomb was mentioning, is one that if they do show up at any park, let's say it's JC Park or whatever park that they're in, if there's an ordinance in place that says this park needs to be addressed at a certain time, that allows them to uphold that. If we don't have some type of uniformity or some type of rules in general for a park hour, then they cannot necessarily ask someone to leave. So I understand that.
Let's be clear.
If I could just
go ahead.
I have worked in cities where the hours were adjusted, where you can say an hour before sunrise to an hour after sunset. If that is a wish that we'd like to do, these are all things that we could adjust at that time. Being that parks is something near and dear to my heart, I feel that that's a discussion we could have at this time. I believe, and I don't want to speak out of turn, the reason for this coming forward is that, and I'm assuming PD was thinking of an example where they would have to go enforce it at Mahan Park. And right now, the rules, for whatever reason, was voted at some point for the ordinance to read sunrise to sunset before any of our time together. If we choose to change that, there's a process for us to do that. This ordinance in place today, to my understanding, as it reads, is to unify all park hours. Mahan was never included in that, Chester.
Since our most, and I looked at this briefly, but what I saw with cities of our size, as well as larger cities, and I even reached out to my friend who's the city manager of Kansas City, as you know, Brian. Most of them utilize the phrase, some have times, right? Larger parks. But most of them, in terms of the issues, is that there is a ordinance that says no loitering, period. No loitering at whatever hour, because loitering and troublemakers can go to a park at any time during the day. And so that's what, and that's the mechanism that's there. But if you want to, Mayor, I don't want to tie this up. If your goal is number one, uniformity in all the parks, and as that's the first step, then number two, then I ask that we bring this back for further discussion as to the other.
Sounds like a solution. Would that be okay? Very good. Very good. Thank you all for your participation. Let's call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Item 8.4, ordinance number letter O dash two.
So sorry, before you move on, was that
I'm
a
sorry.
motion to table?
No, it was a motion to approve.
Okay.
I believe either Ms. Yancey or Mr.
moved.
Ross. One, okay. Yes, ma'am. Very good. Let's see, item 8.4, ordinance number letter O dash 2023 dash 0011, designating certificate of obligation funds. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. These are in succession. These are the items we must pass in order to have our finance director to have the authority necessary to formally do her job. As it's custom, as you last saw when I took this role, similar items that are before you, those are items 9.1, 9.2, and 9.3. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I apologize. I am completely out of order and at the top of my page. Thank you. I don't know how I would have skipped this one because this one is, wow, this one's a big one. Item 8.4 is an item that was asked to come forward as far as our certificate of obligations. As we discussed during the budget process, and I'll ask Kyle, please, if you could share that document, the table that we have. We have brought together all the projects that were aligned, including some of those that we made a commitment for at the previous meeting. Our intention is to bring the good majority of these items to you immediately afterwards at the next meeting, starting with the next meeting. But the table subsequently, the only change that is brought to you that was not brought to you formally before has to do with an allowance that we have to now use some of these ARPA funds, which were not previously confirmed for the GLO matches for the top three items, which are the GLO match for the wastewater treatment plant, the GLO match for the lift stations, and the GLO match for the manholes. In relevance to getting all of these items done in a timely manner, we have separated these funds accordingly to the ability to match the funds for their maximum use in the most timely manner. They are separated. You asked us to bring this back as an actionable item, and thus we're doing so today as a first reading. The intention was to bring this back at a second reading, as was requested at the next meeting, and then subsequently continue with bringing you the items for approval moving forward. And with that, I'll ask any questions.
Go ahead, Jeff.
And Cesar, you know, I've this ARPA stuff has really been frustrating for me and the way that we are going about it. But I come back to finance. Finance is like a term that Gus probably heard it in law school. Communicate in just plain English. And in finance, especially for a city, we just need plain numbers, easy to understand. And I looked at this stuff and I'm thinking to myself, I understand it, but who the hell else is going to understand what we're doing here on this side? So the beginning point for me is to remind people of the total amount of ARPA funds that we have.
This is not related to ARPA funds. This is only to CO bond.
But you just said ARPA.
Well, because if you notice at the top, the question was before, at the last meeting, we were still trying to find out what ARPA allowances there were.
Okay, and
The only change of the table that is in front of you now for the bond items that are available now is that you do have ability to use the ARPA funds for the GLO match items, which we did not have a response to at the last meeting.
and that was.
And that is the only thing that's different. from the table.
But when I read this over, and correct me if I'm wrong in saying this, is that approving this, we're going to go ahead and permit you to use the ARPA funds.
No, actually, we can scroll down to the table just a little bit. And there's an asterisk next to the 3 items. The 3 items at the top with the asterisk that show 402, 82, and 93. The asterisk reads allowable ARPA expense will allocate at time of presentation following the CIP, which will come to you in the fall of 2023. We are preparing the final CIP. We are in the final stages of putting that together. Our intention is to pass the budget, bring you CIP, get all these other projects going, use of the CO bonds, which was direction that we received from council through both the retreat and the budget process. And then after we present the CIP, we can commence allocating the ARPA funds. That is the direction that was given, and hence we're bringing this forward in this.
So I do recall this because I think I asked the question, to what extent could we utilize the ARPA to cover our matches, correct?
And the question that you asked, this is the response.
This is the response. But this presentation or passage of this is not to suggest that we're approving using the ARPA dollars.
No, sir. We will allocate at the presentation following CIP. We will bring that to you in a similar manner as an ordinance. We will bring you all the data and match it in line with our CIP that we have put together or are putting together between Rick and the rest of staff to put all of our items citywide on that CIP. On our
So
capital, for those that don't know,
simple-
CIP is capital improvement plan. I'm
In,
sorry.
in simple budget terminology, all we're basically tagging X amount of the ARPA dollars and restricting them for the time being until we come back and revisit this. Would that be accurate?
You're actually not doing anything with ARPA funds today. You asked us a question, can I double check to make sure
Okay.
that those would be allowable expenses? Right? ARPA has released it, that it is now an allowable expense for GLO bonds because it allows us for GLO projects because it allows us to execute and complete more work.
All right. All right.
So this is a direct response to the question that you asked.
To that question. And,
Yes, sir.
and well, I misread it because it's a lot of stuff here. But
That's why I put, and I'm sorry for the font size, but I wanted to make sure that we'll allocate at time of presentation following the CIP, which we intend to bring to you in the fall of 2023, hopefully within the next 60 days.
And this ordinance itself is basically now taking the unallocated certificate of obligation
Yes, sir.
funds
Yes,
and
sir.
going ahead and saying we can utilize them and obligate them in this fashion.
Yes, sir. And in addition to that, at the time that these items are put together, once they're released for engineering, they will be engineered. Once they're complete from engineering, we will put together a bid package. We will once again bring to you, bless you, prior to release. At that time, they will be released for bid, which the public, everybody will know that these items are out to bid. Then at that time, when they come back and we are ready to award, they will once again come to you. So you will see the projects in succession.
All right. And as it's, I think rightfully been pointed out, because we're still challenged, and I've said this to you before, it's no secret, and I've said it here, is that we are challenged, in my opinion, in terms of making sure that we're communicating effectively this information in simple documents out there, and that's all I'm saying. But I understand, Mayor, and I support this.
Thank you.
Sure. To be clear, the council has asked you, Mr. Garcia, to provide for a mechanism for the council to direct you and the staff to spend monies of certificate obligation that have been unspent, that have been unspent through the course of several years.
Yes, sir.
And so we want the public to know we are directing our city manager to expend those funds this year, or as much of those funds that he can expend this year. The list of those items the council has directed him to spend those funds on was on that presentation that we saw before us. So council, do we have any further questions as relates to what is happening now? Go ahead.
Minor point of clarification, Mayor. The authority we're seeking is to present you these projects for approval for
Very good.
these projects.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any further comments? I think we need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a
Second, second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 9, resolution unless authorized, unless otherwise specified, the city manager is authorized to execute all necessary documents upon final approval of the city attorney. Item 9.1, resolution number letter R-2023-0057, authorizing certain officers of the city to sign and endorse checks and drafts of the city of Lamarck bank accounts. Caesar, would you like to enlighten us?
Apologize for getting ahead of myself previously. Items 9, 1, 2, and 3 are items that are necessary for us to formally anoint our finance director as a person with the authority to take care of these items so they can do their job.
Very good. Thus, can we then take them all together?
Absolutely, Mayor, unless a council member objects.
Without objection, council will take all these together. Item 9.2, resolution number letter R-2023-0058, authorizing certain officers of the city as authorized representatives to administer and manage the city's investment accounts effective September 11, 2023. 9.3, resolution number letter R-2023-0059, authorizing certain officers of the city as authorized representatives to administer and manage the city's investment accounts effective September 11, 2023. Council, we heard from our city manager that this is certainly governmental housekeeping to ensure that our new finance director has the ability to perform her job. Any questions for Mr. Garcia? Hearing none, we'll we'll entertain a motion, excuse me.
Yes, so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 10, new business, items presented to council for this discussion and possible action. 10.1, Public Works Annual Bid Chemicals. Bid chemical purchases for water and wastewater treatment plant. And Rick, I see you before us. Would you like to comment on item 10.1?
Mayor, if I can, for all of
Yes,
these
sir.
items, what we have, it is time 10.1, 10.2, and 10.3. We do our annual bids. We have here Rick, who is our Public Works Director. These items fall under his purview. As we do each year this time of year, we bring those forward so we can properly bid them out for the next fiscal year. Any questions on those items? Obviously, Rick, being the subject matter expert, can assist.
Good, Rick. I was speaking, waving at my daughter.
Real quick, the first item really has to do with chemicals we use at the wastewater treatment plant. Chlorine is the most expensive item and the reason for the high cost. We're estimating $150,000 bid item. You can see I listed that in the memo. Those chlorine costs have gone extremely over the last 2 years. So we've all been affected with that in the water treatment business. Past expenses were $50,000 to $60,000. They're running right now this year about 115,000. And we're expecting those to go up a little bit more still. So it's a supply and demand issue with chlorine right now. So we just like to get this bid on the street. Presently, we've generally only had one bidder come back on this. There's not a lot of people that supply chlorine gas in this area. It's at this point, it's still a public bid.
Any questions for Rick as it relates to item 10.1? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 10.2, Public Works Annual Bid, Biosolids Processing, Bid Biosolids Processing and Disposal for Wastewater Treatment Plant. Rick?
This item also is referred to as sludge that we remove from the wastewater treatment plant. Actually, the biosolids is part of the process of any wastewater treatment plant. We dispose of water in Highland Bayou, and the solids we have to move off that plant through a dewatering process. We do not have biosolids processing at our current plant. The new plant will have that. But currently we have to bring a contractor in to dewater the solids, and then those biosolids are disposed of at the landfill. It's a high cost. Right now, this year's actual expenses are about $107,000. We're estimating costs of $175,000. Those numbers have been floating around a little bit. we've still got some pressing to get done this year, which will get done. The invoices haven't came in yet, but we're actually dewatering sludge right now, so there'll be some additional bills on top of that 107. The estimate is just used to make sure that we don't underestimate what the cost would be. We don't publish those. The bids will go out within the next couple of weeks, and we'll receive bids back. Once again, there's not a lot of vendors that does this work, but we're recommending we go out to public bid. There are a couple of people that's interested.
Any questions for Rick as it relates to 10-2?
I do have a
Go ahead, Joe.
question. And now I'm turning to my little black book, right? It's used for different, now it's for city stuff. In the past, it was used for different stuff in the college. So, but not anymore. Those days have passed. But Rick, biosolids. And I have my note here. We have not received a report, which we were promised, on our 3-month agreement with Republic Waste having to do with biosolids.
Hasn't been 3 months.
And how is that coming along? Now, because that's an issue there, that if it's successful, that we could be brought back to council for the additional income that can be generated from that.
So does that relate to the flow from Republic landfill?
Yeah, right?
We have not started taking flow yet.
We have not.
No, we have not.
Oh.
We are finalizing the agreement still. There's still some fine tuning, but we're actually looking at Monday, the 18th, to hopefully start up discharge. But we have not started that. There hasn't been no water flowing from Republic land.
So no discharge as
And we will continue to monitor those biosolids. We're required by law to monitor biosolids on an annual basis with a wide spectrum of solids that we are required to monitor for prior to landfill disposal. And that's by TCQ.
So I'm putting down the 18th, and then
that is the target date.
Target
I
date.
had a visitor today and a phone call. So
and
they're
per
anxious
the
to get
agreement,
started.
then 30 days, we'll have a first report to see if there have been any of these changes.
And if I may, this is just to authorize a bid. The contract with Republic is very different.
I'm not talking about this is important for the bidding side, as far as I'm concerned. So that's all. You answer my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other questions for Rick on item 10-2? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
The second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 10-3, Public Works Annual Bid Pipeline Repair Materials. Bid for materials used to repair water and sanitary sewer pipelines. Rick.
A hot topic at today's meeting, I guess.
Amen.
Yes, we have to buy materials in order to fix these water lines. So basically, this is an annual bid we put out every year. Estimated bid is $70,000. We could run over that. It just depends on year to year. It's right now, year to date, this year is about 75,000. But as far as putting the bid out, once again, we don't lock any dollars amount in as much as we put a bid out for about 100 items, 80 to 100 items that we use on a common base, on a regular basis. We get prices on those. A primary vendor selected. We don't really sign a contract with anybody on these bids, on this particular bid, because if they do not have the materials, we're free to obtain those materials from somebody else. If prices change during the year and we can obtain materials at a lower price, we would be able to do that also. So this bid doesn't lock us in with a vendor, but it does give us a primary vendor that we're able to use for purchasing.
Good. Rick, can you help me? What sort of materials are we talking about?
The most popular thing we use is what we call a repair band. Many of our pipes have develop a hole or a small leak through a hole in a pipe. So we typically go out there think of a Band-Aid and we put a repair band around that pipe. Those are the most common ones that we use. Every once in a while, we have bigger issues, like the leak that we had on Magnolia. We had to actually sleeve in a section of pipe, so we have to have 2 sleeve collars on both ends. We have to have pipe material. On that particular pipe, by the way, the crews worked all night fixing that pipe. They sleeved in 5 feet of pipe. They put it back together, they bedded it, and the pipe broke again. And it broke worse than it was the first time.
Yeah.
The pipe is very deteriorated. We're looking at possibly replacing a larger section of that pipe. Just last week, we replaced 80 feet of pipe on Nash Street because of a similar problem. We have another issue over on the east side of town on a 400-foot section that we've put in a temporary above ground water line for those residents because that pipe would not hold water, would not hold pressure. Every time we energized it again or repressurized it again, that pipe broke. So we work hard to maintain these pipes, but as you know, some of them are very old and we try to do things at an economical pace, but sometimes these water leaks outrun us.
It's interesting, right? You and I talked about this pipe, but I said it's going to break.
I have a picture of the pipe, so does Mr. Garcia.
Actually, you're about to see it on the screen here. This is the leak that was addressed over the weekend on the corner of Lake.
And that was the second leak. That was not the first.
This is not the first one. This is not the big gusher, but this is what we found. And the stream of water that looks like it's completed on top is actually a hole. That's just rock that's embedded inside the pipe. This is the type of brittle pipe that we're dealing with around the entire city.
So
Well, to be clear, on the, I call it the original settlement, not on the
eastern portion.
The eastern part of our city.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I want.
And some portions of
older
certain
like
districts.
Duro and the.
Correct.
That's Magnolia in the center of the city.
Yeah.
You know, and that carries a fair amount of water. And it's bad. So right now, we've actually left the hole open because if we got to come back in, typically we don't do large pipeline replacements. We don't have the capabilities of doing that. So if we got to go back in there and replace a couple 100 feet of pipe, you know, that's certainly going to run some price tags. Our budget for this year is already blown by about $250,000. So we're already over budget as far as what we have for council approval to make pipeline repairs, but we're still out there making it.
Yeah. And when we're over budget, Mr. City Manager, and we have a news finance, I'd like to hear from her too, but we'll have to dip into our reserves, correct?
That is correct.
And you'll be bringing, Rick.
Unless the rest of the budget supports it in some capacity.
Okay. Rick, what percent of our water lines are, such as that one, that appeared to be cast iron, correct? Was that cast iron or was that asbestos
That's
cement?
cast.
It was cast iron.
Actually, Oscar thought it was paper.
Paper.
It was that thin.
That thin.
I assured him it wasn't.
So what percent of our water lines in the city on this side are asbestos cement?
You know, I couldn't stand here and tell you that, sir. Unfortunately, I wish I could.
We have no documentation to
I don't have that on my
historical.
fingers.
And same thing with our cast iron. We have no idea what percent of our lines are cast iron.
No, sir.
And on the west side, with our newer planned developments, of course, those are PVC type
Yes, sir.
on that side.
Yes, sir.
And Cesar, you remember at was it the TML conference that we visited with that entity that had the now even better, longer life? And I hope you passed on the
Similar-
information.
We have, actually, we're looking at that product for the West Lawn Merry Melody project, coincidentally, that was brought up earlier tonight. HPX, what is the
HDP.
HDP? Thank you. I'm sorry. That we're looking at. That's the product that we looked at. We're looking at an alternative for the Merry Melody.
And I kind of recall they had a 75-year useful life.
PVC, they're saying 70 years. The HDP people will tell you 100. but
Yeah, I heard that.
The reality is the PVC, the C900, the PVC stuff hasn't been in the ground 70 years. So all this is basically laboratory or engineering estimates.
Mhm.
Some of the old cast iron pipes that are still running out there in many cities, including Lamarque, have been in the ground for 100 years almost. That pipe on Magnolia is probably 80 years old, I would dare to say, but I don't know exactly when it went in, but typically speaking, that's what you're looking at, life expectancy.
All right.
This is also a look at the work that was done throughout the weekend by the staff on that same leak that you saw earlier. Obviously, the pictures at a different angle, but this is what they have to do day in and day out on different size pipes. Just want to bring that so you can see that full circle. Some of these materials that you see on here are the ones that are for this bit. Thank you.
And as a caveat, just to give me the opportunity, I'll make this real quick. We knew about the Magnolia leak. We knew that we had a second leak on Magnolia. Unfortunately, we also had a leak on the west side of town that was not a loop line. It was part of the Lake Road water line, and we had to terminate on the north end of Lake Road. So we had residents over on that end of town that had a water leak that they virtually had no water supply, no water in their house. We knew that the Magnolia people and the people surrounding Magnolia had water, even though it was low pressure water. That main was flowing quite a bit of water. We didn't bring in a contractor. Contractor rates for fixed water lines is $1,000 an hour. Those are judgment calls that we try to make, that if we need to bring a contractor in at that rate, we will, but if we think we can handle it ourselves, we try to do it ourselves.
Oh, and then one last question. This request for supplies is only applicable to the water lines. It's not applicable to the sewer lines?
This actually covers both.
Both of them. All right. All right. Thank you.
Our expenses are generally 80 to 85% on water lines. So our expenses on the sanitary sewer pipes are pretty small.
Okay. Thank you.
There was a lot of concern earlier about the water leaks in our community over the weekend. I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time on it, but if you could, would you help us to understand again, how much money would these leaks have taken to not only be repaired or not to be repaired, but to be restored? Just on the things that we've dealt with this weekend.
You mean as far as bringing in contractors?
No, I mean, as far as preventing what happened, how much money would it have cost us as a city to properly replace all of these pipes that have failed in this city this weekend?
$50 to $100 million.
$50 to $100 million. It would have cost us $50 to $100 million. And so let me ask you this, and I won't be long, and maybe you're not the person to answer this. But how does a city with a budget now $17 million, last year $15 million, how do we afford, what did you say? 50 million.
So, and some of the answers go back to what Mr. Compion was bringing up. Basically, anything we put in the ground is going to last 70, 80 years. Most cities, Lamarque's no different than a lot of cities out there. The water infrastructure across America is not in great shape. And it's mainly because cities have not, utilities, cities, whatever, have not put forth an effort to gradually replace these water lines that were put in by generations before us. And so one of the things that we're working with you on is trying to put together capital improvement plans, knowing that you have to spend money year after year after year, and it never stops, because once you get done, you just start over again. I mean, that's just what you have to be able to do. So we've got an aggressive plan to go after our 2-inch water lines, as you know. That's about $25 to $30 million worth of water lines, but that's only 2-inch water lines in the city. That's a 6-inch line on Magnolia, and it's not in good shape. We have a lot of older lines throughout the city that we need to take a look at and replace. And we've got some water line projects going on right now, as you're aware of, that we're replacing some of those. The whole Main Street water line will get replaced. That was put in the 70s.
So even if we spent, to make the point I'm trying to make, even if we spent $5 million a year, it would still take us 10 years.
Oh, easy.
And clearly Lamarque does not have $5 million to, and so the point I'm trying to make is the magnitude. I know we have residents that are frustrated, and I stand with them, and certainly we understand, but we want to provide people context, and the magnitude of these issues go far beyond any any planning that any council could have made. Because these numbers, a council can't reach without some sort of general obligation or without some sort of continuous certificate of obligation. And so we want to just make people understand and make them clear in the idea that this goes far beyond council. These are monies that a city our size cannot ascertain without applying some sort of revenue generating mechanism. And a lot of times that's raising taxes, but nobody wants their taxes raised, right? So then that's general obligations. And so nobody votes for the bonds.
Water rates.
And so then it's water rates and nobody wants their water raised, right? And so we just want to put this in context while we're dealing with this.
If I could just make a comment on that. So let's just, again, simple math here. If these pipes longevity or lifetime is indeed 75 years, and to take Rick's numbers of between 50 and 100 million, we're talking about $75 million. Let's meet halfway, right? Essentially, that would be $1 million per year for the next 75 years. Oh, but wait, on the 76th year, guess what we're doing again? Another $1 million. And that has to be consistent for just the water lines. That's also true with our sidewalks. That's also true with our streets. That's also true with our parks. If we don't make some drastic moves and different things that we're going to do, we're going to always be behind the 8 ball. Our hope for this entire thing is to bring Lamarck back to its prominence and continuously make the efforts necessary to get us there. Right now, it's an uphill battle, but we got to keep fighting. That's what that whole thing was about. Thank you.
Very good.
We spent $250,000 this year for Band-Aids on pipes.
Yeah.
That's just Band-Aids.
But all we did was Band-Aid a bunch of pipes.
And so we talked a little bit about the pipes being in the drought. So we thank you for making those clarifications. Do we have any other questions for Rick as it relates to item 10.3?
Got no questions. I just got one comment. That way maybe this will actually put it out to people. We're having our 70th Bayou Fest this year.
We're not there yet, James.
No, but I'm just saying.
Oh, is this about the pipes?
Yeah.
Oh, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were, I thought you were
pipes-
in the other part. I'm sorry.
No, if the pipes are already our 70-year lifespan, then we should be starting over and working our way back that way already. Not
Yeah.
trying to get to where we're at. We should have been 5 years ago. So when people say we need to spend money, that's why. We're already at the lifespan of the pipes. I know when they redid my house, I had clay for the sewer line. So, yeah, let's.
One of the things I think that we need to get better at, Cesar, is making sure that we tell this narrative about the age of what we have. There's been a lot of discussion, but it also sounds like there's a lot of lack of understanding and knowing, because if this is not your wheelhouse, of course, and you would not know. And so back in 2004, when I was director of public housing, Galveston was talking about the same thing, infrastructure, and that how we need, you have to get ahead of it before, it becomes an embarrassment. You can look at what's happened in Jackson, Mississippi as well. So to the people of Lamarck, we definitely need to come together as a city to determine what we're going to do for our children, for the future leaders of this city, and let's be proactive and come together to see what we can do to fix this, our water pressure as well. My husband had pastored a church here in 1997, and we had issues then. When I lived off of Hoover, we had issues then, and we just keep kicking it down the road. I would hope and pray that this council and our city would come together to finally catch up with our infrastructure and fix what we have. It's very embarrassing to know that we have clay pipes. When I moved here, my husband and I, we had a huge issues with our pipes as well because they were so old. So I do hope that we can intelligently come to the table and come up with a plan, Cesar, for that.
Very good. Any further questions for item 10.3?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 10.4, items for the good of the order. Who would like to begin?
All right.
I guess seniority rules there.
I'll go.
Are you going first, Joe?
I'll go.
All right, Joe.
I'll go. First, given my particular background, I always struggle with communities that are, that are in conflict. It hurts me. On all sides have their own perspective on this, but fundamentally, a community of this size of Lamarque should come together. To that extent, I offer, if and we've tried this before, Mayor, you know this on this side, but if there's some manner, and I know there's litigation out there, and I would say, but if there's some way that I can serve as a mediator of some sort, I'm there, if the sides are willing to. I hope that we're able to proceed and finalize some sort of reconciliation, and so that we can feel safe in our homes. I love this community. I really do. I can live anywhere in the world. I've said this. I choose to stay here in Lamarque, and that's for 60 years now, and God willing, more than that, right? But where else can I get from my home near the high school to here at City Hall in under 5 minutes? I had to spend 2 weeks in Galveston at a recent trial, and God, I was so ticked off by the end of that period with traffic on Broadway, and I used to live there, right? And all this nightmare came back to me, and I also recall attending an economic development forum and listening in every one of the sessions, one person say, "If only my community had a Walmart, things would be great. If only my community had a Sam's, thing would be great. If only my community would have a Chick-fil-A thing would," and we have all these things in the books, they're coming in.
They're
Right?
coming.
We have them, right? What do we need to do? I'm trying to do my best, is to go and patronize our businesses in Lamarque. And that includes our business just down, our restaurant, our coffee house over here and things. They're there, they're treasures. I go there, and I invited a group of lawyers in this recent from New York. They were just so damn impressed with our downtown. And it gave me a little wake-up call, right? Because sometimes I'm not so impressed with what we're doing. But it gave me a wake-up call that we're doing some great things here in the community, and we all need to be part of it in some fashion. So that's number one. Number two, I did neglect to say, our 9/11, and I also think about the people in their line of duty that lost their lives and the impact. I saw a special last night on PBS on this, and the families talking about the loss of their loved ones, and that's in the line of duty, and that's an amazing that these individuals were there and willing to answer the call. I hope I'm that bold someday in that regard. Other than that, Mayor, I think that those are just my two comments on what's on my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
22 years ago, 5:46 a.m., I'm driving down Highway 3 in Belfair, Washington, going to Bangor Submarine Base. Day one of turnover to the other crew. I'm waiting for my radio station to kick on because that's when they started at 6 a.m. And I knew something was wrong that second because there was nothing. No air traffic, no emergency alert, nothing. I'm going, Mark and Brian are never late coming on the radio, ever. I just got back from sea. This one thing, I'm like, my 45-minute drive in. Next thing I knew, it's 5 hours to get on base. We heard about it, everything. Everybody stopped. 10 years, that was my 10-year mark in the Navy. And everything changed that day for every person in our country.
And there are people that will never understand what those changes were or be able to see those changes. Not because we can't explain it to them. It has been that way all their life. So every year, I just hope that you take one moment out of your day, whether you're having a cup of coffee or you're sitting there, just give a prayer to all our first responders and all our men and women in uniform, those that are either overseas or they're on ship somewhere. Just just send out a prayer to them, let them know that they're thought of and taken care of. Next Friday, we were going to do POW MIA Day on Saturday at the VFW post, but we had a death in the family there, so we're doing our memorial for them on Saturday. But Friday night at 6 o'clock, which is actual POW MIA Day, we're going to talk about the table, the setting, and what the understanding is for that day in our country. Everybody's invited to come out. It's only gonna be 25, 30 minutes. Please come out and give some remembrance. I apologize for what y'all saw tonight. Wasn't our fault. We as a city need to grow. We are a big family here, and sometimes families have issues, and we're going to grow through them and get them, and we're going to move forward together in this city, one way or another. We're going to fight and claw our way back to where we were and make it work. I hope everybody that's in this room can give the respect to the mayor and his family for what they're going through. It's a hard time for everybody, and they just need our thoughts and prayers as they go forward, what they're gonna do. Other than that, that's all I got.
Well, this month is September. This day, for those of us that teach history, is a very honorable day where we remember the Americans who died for no other reason than being Americans. We brought dishonor to that day because of the lack of professionalism that was shown. Here, we expect a type of professionalism in our city hall. This is our city hall. This is our community. And we should have a standard of excellence. As I sat here and watched, I'm a prayer warrior. People know that I love God. I'm very serious about my faith. And this have been very trying. But God will not be mocked. And we will not stand for it. I ask for the city to, those of you that believe in the power of prayer, I ask you to pray. These are strange times in America. As a member of the NAACP, I get a lot of complaints. I hear from all across the state where people of color are being ostracized, criticized, and basically downright harassed. So my husband who sits in the back, I thank you for your mild-mannered ways and your ability to have self-control, because I know you know that God will handle all of it. But we are an amazing city with so much opportunity, so much potential that's coming. I will not give too much attention to things that don't bring us harmony and don't help our city. If it's personal, keep it personal. There are so many things that are being done that has nothing to do with our city. Anything at all. Let's talk about crime. Let's talk about the leaks. Let's do what we can to come together. That's what intelligent people do that love their city. But we do know, as an educator, that not everyone in your class knows how to behave professionally. So then what do? You have ISS, you have DAP, you have certain things that you do to make sure that you maintain a standard of excellence, and that this is too much. This is way too much. And to the mayor, I apologize to you and to your family. And just to our staff, Kiara, you're a first time clerk, and it has been horrible. City manager, this is your first opportunity to serve as a city manager, and you've had to work in horrible conditions, and that's not fair. But nevertheless, it'll strengthen you, it doesn't break you. So I just want to say, let's concentrate on the good things that's coming. As Joe has said, as Ross has said, yes, our families are being harassed, Keith and I. Oh, and to my boys who've been called thugs, crackheads, all of that. They know they're not concerned. The Bible says that vengeance is mine, said the Lord. And to my boys and my family, I say, if anything happens to me, know that I went out living my best life. I'm having a blast serving as a district gay councilwoman. So if anything happens to me, I'm good. I've lived a blessed life. Know that I went out doing what I love best, and that's serving people. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Yancey. Certainly, I would like to thank all of my colleagues on council for their support for me and for my family. Before I get into a response concerning that, I wanted to certainly share, I, as the mayor, hear your pain as it relates to our infrastructure issues in the city. We didn't get here overnight. Rick just said to us that we won't get out of this overnight. And we couldn't have done anything about this in 10 years unless we were willing to somehow raise funds outside of our general revenue, property tax, sales tax scenario. But know that we hear you, I hear you, and there are millions that have already been allocated this year for infrastructure improvement, many of them allocated for our sewer system. There are several dollars allocated for our wastewater and for our stormwater, but there is monies that have been allocated for our water supply system as well. We are doing the best we can with the funds that we have allotted to move forward, but we are moving forward. We are progressing. We are an older city now, and we do have to learn how to replenish, maintain levels of expectation as relates to our infrastructure, but we are learning. There are several things that cause us to be slow in that area. We certainly know that there's a drought, and so our pipes are more susceptible. But we also learned from Rick and from our Public Works Department that we simply don't have enough funding available to make serious impacts in some of these water line issues. A lot of people forget that the city of Lamarque, as small as we are, we have a paid fire department, and there are 2 fire stations, and that's important because those are that budget is millions of dollars, and we love our fire department, and we wouldn't trade them for anything in the world, and we want to continue, as far as I'm concerned, to support that because they provide such a level of care for us. But so that we understand municipal government, one of the reasons why we struggle with infrastructure is because we do have to provide for our public safety, for our fire and our police, because they keep us safe, right? There are cities around us, Santa Fe, Dickinson, League City, I believe. I'm not so sure on League City these days, but they have volunteer departments. We do not want a volunteer department. That is not what I'm saying. I am simply saying that those monies can be extended toward infrastructure improvements, whereas we have to make sure that our fire service is adequate. That's what I'm saying to you. So we do struggle, but now we are moving toward a plan to provide for all of our infrastructure. And I wanted to let the public know tonight, one of the things that happened that perhaps has gotten overlooked with all of the distraction, and we know what's happening. We know that these things are distractions. They're designed to pull our attention away from things that are actually good. A lot of things were said tonight, but one of the things that was not said is that this council chose to cut our tax rate by, what did you say, Caesar?
Roughly 3.5 cents.
3.5 cents. That has not been done in the city. I don't know if it's ever, I don't want to extend myself that far, but I know it hadn't been done, James, in a long, long time. Now that will allow for your level of taxation to be frozen. You will not be assessed any more taxes on your property than you were assessed by the city on last year. But it's a tax cut because it cuts the rate. And watch this. What it also does is it allows for the percentages of our budget that is funded by property tax. It allows for those percentages to go down. In other words, our budget now is $17 million, but we have not raised any property taxes on anybody. How did we get the other money? Well, sales tax and permits and things of that nature. So when you look at the budget as a whole, the amount of the budget that is funded by property tax will be reduced. We're moving in the right direction. Folks won't tell you that. I certainly also wanted to share this with you about tonight. It's clear why this was here tonight. It was a distraction. The flyer that was generated to inspire people to be here tonight has rhetoric that I don't agree with, that I flatly deny. I am not a liar, and I've stated the facts as it relates to myself, but it said something else. That flyer said, we don't want him to be eligible to be on the 2024 ballot. And that's the real reason they're here. It's because they don't want me to be on the 2024 ballot, because they don't want to have to face a reelection campaign that will consist of crime being cut, regardless of what people purport to be happening in their neighborhood. Statistics, facts, and figures. They say crime is cut. Taxes are being cut regardless of whatever folks will say. I just explained to you how taxes are cut. The rate has been cut, and the proportion of our tax levy is reduced. Infrastructure work has begun. There are several new streets being done. Downtown area has been approved and improved and restored, are being restored, not by property tax, but by sales tax. We have an event center, a concert center that will generate millions in sales tax and event tax, property tax. The 45 corridor is coming alive. We have several developments all across the city, and we have subdivisions continuing to be built out. The city of Lamarque is moving forward. And part of the issue is they don't want us to see it because someone has a personal animus with me. Have you noticed that everything that happens bad in our city is my fault, but anything that happens good in the city is the credit to anyone else? Let me share with you something. I've been in the city government for 20 years. It'll be 20 years of, I believe next year, 2024. Most of the people that live here have watched me grow from being a 31-year-old councilman to the mayor. I've had wars with my friend James Osteen on this council years ago, and other council members, including Councilman Mishtich. Councilman Mishtich served with me for 6 years. Not one time has anyone ever accused me of being corrupt or a criminal. Not one time. 2 years ago, someone arbitrarily, capriciously began calling me a criminal with no proof. For after 17 years of serving this community with distinction, respected among my peers, I've served as mayor pro tem. It was a record for 12 years straight. After all of that, all of a sudden, 2 years ago, I'm a corrupt criminal. Folks have lied about a PPP loan that my family received. We have child care centers, plural. The main recipient of those PPP loans were child care centers. People have made accusations that we somehow defrauded the government. but they also received PPP loans, and it was not for childcare. Every record that I have has been displayed in this community. My marital records, divorce records, all of these things. I am a small town mayor who makes $50 a month, who've served I volunteered for this community for 20 years. And to be allowed to be attacked. And when every time I try to respond from this podium, because I'm the mayor. Somebody please give me some water.
Oh, give me some water.
Every time I try to respond from this podium, because I'm the mayor, people become disruptive. They don't want me to talk. They don't want me to respond. They make accusations against me. They don't prove anything, citizens of Lamarque. He got up here and he made an accusation against me, and this is what he did. You see this, what he got, what I got? I got this from him and this for him, and make all kind of accusations that they don't even prove. And then when I simply, as the mayor, try to respond with my factual information, or my family tries to respond simply saying, after all of this time, we've been in city government, but we're in fear of our lives. All of a sudden there comes a disruption. It was a complaint that somehow I let Tanya Bell speak over her time. She tried to reclaim 30 seconds, and I didn't do that for anybody. That's factually not true. Mr. Lazar, Jerome, or Mr. Joel, I'm sorry, Mr. Joel, it's been a long night. Mr. Lazar came up and his time ran out, and I let him speak for another minute and a half. This man has put all of our information in this community. Not only that, he has tried to recall me. He listed over 20 things in a recall effort, and he proved none of them. Not one of them did he ever prove. I didn't campaign. I sat back because I wanted the citizens of Lamarque to judge what this man was saying about me and judge the work that I did, and they did. He lost. What is it going to take for me to simply be allowed to be the mayor? I cannot do anything in this city by myself. This is a council manager form of government. And in essence, the mayor is an at-large council member, except when we're in the meetings. I get to preside over the meetings. That is my entire role, unless we have an emergency. Then I have to work with Kyle. All of these things people have said about me are untrue. They are false. And again, I'm moving forward in this city. There is work that still needs to be done, and I will be a candidate to be reelected in May of 2024. No one will bully me out of office. If something happens to me, I want the city of Lamarque to know, the county of Galveston to know, that I've done everything in my power to try to alert officials that my family is being harassed and that my life is in danger, and I will do anything I can to protect my family. I am not talking about anything toward anybody. I will run, I will hide, I will call the police, I will do whatever I have to do, and my family will do whatever we have to do to protect ourselves. And I don't mean the Lamarque Police Department can't help me because they are inadequate. I simply mean that the police chief has also been a victim of all sorts of issues with this element. It has to end right here. I'm not going to stop being mayor. I'm not going to resign. I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing, leading this council to make the best decisions possible to move this city forward. Some of them will be great decisions. Some of them will not be great decisions, but I am not resigning and I am not leaving this group. We have work to do, and I will be a candidate for re-election in 2024. If there is nothing further, I will, Caesar, certainly allow for you to make comments.
No, sir. Just wanted to share our Bayou Fest flyer and the fact that reiterate that we're celebrating our 70-year anniversary. Saturday, October 21st. The flyer is up. We have three great candidates, three great performers who will be performing throughout the day. We've got a fun entire day. Those that know, Bayou Fest is our signature event of the year. We look forward to having everybody out there. Please mark your calendars. Saturday, October 21st. Let's come out. Let's have a day of unity. Let's have a day of fun. Close it off with fireworks to celebrate the kickoff to our 70-year anniversary. Mayor, council, thank you. Residents, thank you.
Very good. We don't have an executive session here tonight, and so 11 and 12 are irrelevant. And so now we move to 13. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
The second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.